Breakfast makes no difference. Thoughts about the relative significance of missing breakfast have the potential of compelling one to splutter into his or her coffee after dropping a hot buttered toast. Claims attempting to affirm that breakfast is the day's most important meal have been found to possess relatively negligible scientific basis according to recent research. While the NHS has championed the idea of going to work on porridge or an egg and enjoying a full English meal on the weekend on their website, recent research has found this to make little difference. The belief that failing to take breakfast mostly influences people to overeat later in the day has been found not to be entirely true. A scientific study made public in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition observes that eating a heavy breakfast immediately when one wakes up or skipping it altogether has considerably no impact, even on individuals making the effort to lose weight. The researchers chose 300 obese and overweight individuals who were otherwise healthy between the ages of 20 and 65. The researchers assigned the sample individuals into two groups. One group was instructed to take a heavy breakfast every day, while the other was expected to skip the meal. The researchers kept track of the weight of the sample individuals for 16 weeks, after which they made their conclusions. The scientists discovered that individuals who grabbed a bite in the morning failed to lose any more weight as compared to their counterparts who failed to do the same. According to Dr. Richards Johnson, the chief of the Retinal Disease and Hypertension Division at Colorado University, fructose, which makes up the most of cereal breakfast meals, can trigger what he calls the fat switch. He coined that term in one of his books called The Fat Switch and the Sugar Fix. Dr. James explains that some forms of sugars, particularly grain carbohydrates, are elaborated more hazardous as compared to other sugars in light of the biochemical effect on an individual. According to Dr. Richards, it is specifically troublesome in consideration of its activation of the enzyme fructanase that is subsequently responsible for the activation of the enzyme with the ability to cause accumulation of fat in cells and the subsequent retention of fat in cells. Overweight persons are more affected by this occurrence, but persons of normal weights are rarely victims. So overweight persons attempting to lose weight through the taking of breakfast made up of grains might be hampered by this occurrence. Dr. Johnson adds that grains equally have the ability to break down sugars within the body, thus enhancing leptin and insulin resistance, as the case of other sugars. The result of this effect is obesity and difficulty in weight loss. Additionally, grains aid in the conversion of carbohydrates into fructose in the body. Johnson's research findings further reduce the authenticity of the assertion that breakfast leads to weight loss by overweight individuals. The idea that breakfast is inherently ideal for the health has been strengthened by the widespread marketing campaigns aimed at boosting the sales of bacon, cornflakes, and eggs. Another specialist, Dr. James Betts, who's a senior nutrition professor at the University of Bath, expressed his surprise at the suggestions made by marketers. He states that while it is claimed that breakfast meals enhance our metabolism, thus making it likely for weight gain to be realized in addition to by getting more energy, logically sound benefit are large assumptions, and that the results of several observations studies never really tested. Dr. James admits that not finding the evidence to the above perception despite his much effort. He was astonished that as he anticipated, finding considerable amount of data on the same. Owing to the sole use of observation and the general justification of breakfast as being the most vital meal of the day, the justifications of the belief is challenging. It is, for instance, considerably difficult to distinguish whether regular breakfast takers are healthy rather than being healthy owing to their tendency of taking breakfast. Dr. Betts, for instance, noted the tendency of doctors to instruct their patients who are overweight to resume taking breakfast if they had previously discontinued it. He notes that even doctors make this recommendation, yet they are considerably ignorant to the impact of taking breakfast. Dr. Betts conducted an experiment which he had two sets of subjects. The first group of subjects took a breakfast made up of 700 calories or more, while other subjects were restricted to exclusively intake water until lunch. He made the discovery that while those who skipped breakfast ate more during lunch, they failed to compensate sufficiently for the 700 calories they had previously missed. The experiment thus disputed the belief that missing breakfast leads to more hunger later in the day. Thus, more consumption of food would lead to the occurrence of obesity. The reason for this finding is the similarity levels of ghrelin at lunchtime in both of those who took breakfast and those who failed to do so. Ghrelin is the hormone responsible for making individuals feel hungry. It was noted that while the hormone levels dropped in individuals who fasted after lunch, it remained considerably high in individuals who took breakfast. Research reveals that children who take breakfast perform worse in school than those who skip it. The reason for this outcome may be attributed to the considerable wealth backgrounds of children who take breakfast. A psychology professor at Bristol University, Professor Peter Rogers, said, "Since most of us could do with eating less, breakfast presents us an amazing opportunity to do so, bearing in mind that it is the easiest meal for us to skip." Most of the individuals in the modern world, particularly in developed countries, have the tendency to overeat. Skipping breakfast allows the body to burn energy resources that would gradually accumulate to excess fat, resulting in obesity. So drink water until lunch. Thank you.